I'm sure he does it to look good. I'm sure he knows he could probably go in quicker without doing it, but he loves backing it in.
Chaz said fast and loose. That's the way he rides.
He's pretty loose, but at 19 or 20-year-olds, what are you going to be?
Right, watch him then. Will he get the start? Pole position, Matty Charpentier. Oh, and Jonesy gets his head down and goals for Copse. Has the black bike made it? Yes! And it's Jonesy boy with 28 laps to go. He hits the front ahead of the World Championship leader Sebastian Charpentier, whose teammate Katsuaki Fujiwara. Oh, and straight away he's elbowed aside by Charpentier, but he's still there in second place. Now, Chaz, how good is Jonesy at thinking his way around early laps? Is he going to use his head?
He is. He goes like a bull out of a gate on the first few laps, and he is very strong, like on the British Championship and that. But it's just whether he can hold it for the full 28 laps.
Just watch him back in here, that's what I want to see.
But at the moment he's going to lose out, I think, to Curtin. Curtin's going to take him up. Oh, look how loose he is. He's going up the inside of him. He just gives Curtin something going into Abbey, and let's hope he stayed on.
And Crutchlow's fairly well up there as well, actually. Come on, Jones.
Oh, and Curtin gives it some back and nearly nudges him onto the grass, but Jonesy's not having it.
In actual
fact, kid from Northwich is cutting back underneath.
And these are two riders who will neither of them give it 1 inch of...
Oh, a huge moment from Michel Fabrizio on the inside in 4th place on the Megabike Honda.
And Jonesy's got to really watch what he's doing here. He can be sucked into doing something very silly and crashing, I'm sure he can. He's had it under him about 2 or 3 times in half a lap here.
So, well, you did say that he went for it like a bull out of a bull in a china shop, Chaz, and he's certainly proving the point to you straight away.
He's very fast early on. I don't think his bike's that quick, just judging by the way that people have been passing him.
In actual fact, they said the opposite. I've chatted with them this morning. They're quite happy with the speed of the bikes. They expected to have slower bikes compared to the World Championship bikes.
Crutchlow's in trouble. Oh, and Cal Crutchlow pulls up to the outside at Copse, and he must have burned his clutch out doing a James Whittam start, I think.
Said anything could happen.
And Fabrizio has just nudged past the North Point Eckerhold Honda there of number 83, Craig Jones. So 20-year-old Jonesy boy who's survived some horrendous injuries, had a massive crash a couple of years ago that he's come back from very bravely.
As a junior Superstock lad.
Oh, loose or what? Can we have him doing every round, please, to brighten up the scene?
I think before much longer you'll find him doing a World Championship. I honestly think he's that good, Jones. I like the lad. I think he's good. I think the way he rides belies the fact he's quite a clever lad as well.
In the lead then, Sebastian Charpentier. Now a relatively experienced man, the Frenchman, from his rather stop-go early years with the Elf Hondas in World Supersports. He's a much more mature character now. A lot of experience in World Endurance Championship racing. But what about Kevin Curtin? Curtin went back, of course, to Australia to race in Australia last year, and then has reappeared. Oh, Jonesy lost his outside foot peg, but he's back ahead of Fabrizio. Oh, and someone's down. And they're spinning before they've reached it. Actually, the exit to Brooklands before they reach that very stop-go bus stop hairpin. Someone's big time high side. Ouch!
That is a high side.
Wow.
And it's at times like this I realise I've done the right thing packing in with this job.
No, look, don't say that in front of Chaz. He's a boy who's got a long and fruitful career ahead of him. Your mate Stiggy's improved to 15th. He's got past Julian Da Costa on that lap and moved through to 16th place.
I think he made a bit of a naff start.
A big naff start, yeah.
Pull through a bit.
And here comes Fabrizio again alongside number 83, but don't expect Jones to give up that easy.
Have some of that,
Jonesy just shows them his back wheel. Right? That's it. Oh, what a ride. That's not Nanelli who's gone down,
It looks like it to me, Jack. I've got to say.
But Nanelli's went through in 8th place, so it can't have been. But he's usually he was the man who inherited your famous number 69.
And something's happened to Jonesy now anyway. I might have been confused.
No, he's dropped back. He's dropped back 3 places in 1 hit. So perhaps he got a little too loose and a little too overexcited. Come on, Jonesy boy, just keep your head together, mate.
Settle down a bit,
Settle down. He's behind Fabien Forinau and Stefan Chambon, both former World Supersports champions, of course.
And that's another one.
Stiggy.
Is that Stiggy down?
Looks like him. Looks like someone out of his team. Maybe
It's either going to be Stiggy or is it? Oh, and I think you're right because Stiggy's not come through. Da Costa's gone through. Oh! Yes, it was. Oh, Chaz, that's not the effect we expected you to have on him.
Oh no, bad luck.
He's been, number 14 also pulling out, looking like his bike's exhausted. Andrea Berta on the Ducati Selmat 749.
But with blow-ups and crashes, I've never seen such an attrition rating.
It's a bit high, isn't it? Even by World Supersport standards. We started off with a decent grid. What was Stigfeldt like as a 250 Grand Prix runner? Was he reasonably consistent and stable then?
Reasonably. So he used to have certain tracks in the year that he just looked forward to, like 2 or 3 circuits, like he's building up to all year and he can't wait to get there. And he used to show first practice he's right on the case. But obviously the tracks he doesn't know, like this weekend, he's obviously just finding his way around a bit and just sussing things out, I think, this year, and then hopefully doing a bit better next year.
It's excuse me for a layman's observation, but it sounds a somewhat cockeyed outlook on life to look forward to 3 circuits out of about 16 and desperately want to get to them.
Yeah, but like I was saying earlier, Jack, you always like the ones...
Here comes Foray right underneath Stefan Chambon, world champion style together.
And the bike chattering all over as he does it.
Stefan's having to lift up to let his fellow Froggy through then.
What are you saying, Jack?
Frenchman, sorry.
Apparently they call us roast beef.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they do, roast beef, yeah.
And yet you're in a very minority of one in 250 GPs, aren't you? Is everybody nice and friendly to you, Chaz?
I don't tend to socialise with the Italians too much. Italians
what are you saying?
riders, it's just they're different sort of mentality.
Do you know, I found exactly opposite. I've raced with Italian teams about half my career, and they're pretty much the people in Europe that I get on with the best. I think once you get beneath that cool, latest shades exterior, I think they just like us. I really do, honestly.
I have
a big sense of humour.
Big sort of rivalry with Italians. I don't know where it is. I know Stoner for a fact, and pretty much all non-Italian riders, like English guys, Aussie guys. Yeah, seems that way. Anyway.
Different. I think different in World Superbike and World Supersport.
We've got a heck of a dust-up going on here, fellas, between these two Hondas. Fabrizio and Foray tearing one another up, but unfortunately, Jonesy Boy has vanished while this has been going on, and we don't know what's happened to him. But this is the battle between Michel Fabrizio and his rather more experienced number 99 teammate, the Ferret, the former world champion, Fabien Foray. And Foray, they've chopped places 4 times in the last half lap. Yeah, and Jonesy is definitely gone. What a shame. This battle going on for number 21. Katsuaki Fujiwara is coming back into the fray. He's got a very sore left shoulder and arm after a big get-off yesterday.
And the other Brit we haven't mentioned, Jack, is Tom Tunstall. Fellow Huddersfield man. He's my near neighbour.
I beg your pardon.
On the edge of the points now.
And Tom kindly brought in his hard... Do I pronounce that Harding or Hardinge? Harding Bridgeport Motorsport Honda?
Yeah, it is.
Tom Tunstall, 26-year-old from Huddersfield.
Yeah,
Denby Dale even. Nice place.
His dad used to run a little shop called Denby Dale Motorcycle, selling trials bikes, but tacos mainly. But Tom's a real professional lad, loves what he does. He's been ill a little bit recently. He got a viral infection and it's his first time back on a bike for some weeks. Missed 2 British Championship rounds.
He's just outside the point in 16th, behind Julian Da Costa, who will know well because the young Frenchman rides British Supersports, doesn't he, on Kawasaki, on the MSS Kawasaki. And here the battle going on at the moment that we're watching is between Stefan Chambon, the bubbly ancient Frenchman, up against Fujiwara, sore shoulder and all, who's trying to fight his... Fujiwara, remember, closed the gap down in the championship drastically at the last round with his last-ditch victory in Monza. But unfortunately, he's not able to get to grips with Charpentier this time. Charpentier has crossed the line a tenth of a second clear of Kevin Curtin, so that battle is rampaging all the time at the front while we watch this stuff going on here.
Yeah, and you know, speaking of Fujiwara, you know, a circuit that you can ride out a little bit injured, a little bit sore, this ain't one of them. This is a circuit where it's fairly physical. There's a lot of places where you're forcing the bike from one side to another, especially with these bikes that are actually heavier than World Superbikes to move around. You really need to be fairly fit around a circuit like this.
Stiggy said he went into Costa's this morning, the clinic, and
couldn't get in.
Just for yeah, pretty much. He said there's 5 riders there having just forearm massages.
Yeah. Pump up. Yeah, that's Chaz is on about a thing called pump up. You're working that hard on the bike. They actually gripping with your wrist. You get it's like muscle pump.
Yeah, it gets too big for the sack.
And by the end of the race, actually, I've had races where you just about pull the brake and clutch. You really.
A common complaint in professional motocross circles, where obviously you'd think it was it was going to be far more prevalent because it's rather rougher on them. But
it is. I would have
thought. It shows how bumpy and tight it is around here, really.
Yeah, and with this, as opposed to motocross, you're trying to force basically 170 kilo bike to do what it doesn't want to do a lot of the time.
Yeah. This is the battle still raging for third place. Fabien Fauré still has the advantage over his teammate Michel Fabrizio, bike number 84, and right behind them, Stefan Chambon. Remarkable Stefan Chambon.
Yeah,
he's great. The greatest supermoto racer there's ever been.
Yeah, fantastic on anything to do with supermoto, messing about, stunt riding, stoppies, wheelies, burnouts. He is your man.
And there's the Selmat Ducati. Number 13, Alessio Carradi in 10th place. Really enjoyed himself getting that 6th place at Monza and joining in the celebrations with Gianluca Nanelli. Nanelli in 8th place, a couple of places ahead of him. Charpentier looking very consistent. Charpentier 129.3, Curtin 129.4, well 0.38 against 0.4. Fauré on 130, so these lads are consistently sticking him in virtually a second quicker than anybody else.
Yeah, and when you think that the superbikes with a lot more power and more sophisticated suspension and chassis,
2 seconds.
There's less than 2 seconds a lot of the time.
Sébastien Charpentier looking cool at the front. This will be his 65th World Supersports race. He's had 3 victories, 2 of them this year. The first one, of course, back in the rain in 1998. Some careers take a long time to unravel, don't they? Chaz, are you kind of eager to progress, or do you feel a veteran already?
Yeah, I feel I've been there enough years to start really knocking on the door at the front, but it's never that easy. There's a lot of things that go with it that I haven't got time to go into, and you haven't got time either. So it's just got to keep trying knocking on doors the best you can week in, week out.
How old are you now?
18.
I was going to say you're still
18 and been in there. You seem like you've been around.
Yes, I was going to say.
It's my fourth year. Yeah.
Wow. So there we are. There are British riders who can start this game young.
And incidentally, Fauré, his girlfriend, came into Foggy Patronus Hospitality to have a chat with my Mrs. Andrea and Michaela Fogarty, and basically brought the place to a standstill. She is the loveliest looking lass.
Silence fell over the assembled audience.
All the blokes in there just stopped talking.
He's doing well, isn't he? Considering his training's still restricted, he can't run, he's got to cycle, he's still got a lot of problems with that ankle.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think his ankle's ever going to be right from the Brands Hatch smash he had last year. It was a big accident.
Kevin Curtin, the odd-looking sort of Cyclops Australian with the weird eyes, is certainly putting the pressure now on Sébastien Charpentier, isn't he? It's getting closer. Yeah,
he's not the best looking lad, I admit, but it's a sailor rider bike, I'll tell you. And I tell you, he's one of the lads early on when he was dicing with Jonesy that he's kind of a good man to race with. He's safe enough and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, but he's really had exactly the same as Muggers used to be when he rode a Supersport bike. Just will not. You know, if you're going to pass him, it's got to be clean, and you've got to get right past him because he'll come straight back at you if not.
Yeah.
That's good racing. I like to see people like that.
Someone taking a long look over his left shoulder there. I think might have been Brock Parks in 7th place, checking out the opposition behind him, which is Gianluca Nanelli, Barry Veneman, the Dutchman, the winner of the last round at Assen of the Dutch Supersports Championship, is in there 9th for Suzuki Nederland. Carradi 10th, 11th is Laus Leto on the Team Claffey Honda, 12th is Javier Forés on the Alstara Corona Suzuki, 13th Legrel, 14th Kogan, 15th Da Costa, and still right with him Tom Tunstall. Talk about frustrating, right on the edge there, and 16th as Fujiwara finally gets the better there of his former teammate at Alstara Corona Suzuki, Stefan Chambon.
I'll tell you what's frustrating. you blag some tickets to put on the gate for your mate and they don't even turn up, Jack. That's frustrating.
Is that what's happened?
Yeah, my old mate Steve Poole from Yamaha put him some tickets on the gate and he's come up with some spurious excuse not to turn up.
And you were so pleased without how many, a sack full of passes he managed to get yesterday.
Nah, he's a good lad, really. He's had to work.
Oh, and that's Fujiwara going extremely deep into that final bus stop chicane. But he's missed the bus and he's back behind Parks.
And did you see his little shake of the head there, thinking, oh, what did they do that for?
And he's still doing it. He's dipping his head in annoyance as he goes down the straight. So that's put Fujiwara the 7th now. Nanelli's right with him, trying to find a way through on bike number 69. The 749 Ducati that proved to be such a menace to the Tenkate Hondas all the way through the race at Monza. Is it the way that Fabian runs a bike or deals with a bike? It always forever seems to be shaking its head. It's down, it's up. He doesn't seem to like shift it around with finesse.
I like Fabian a lot. He's a real nice lad. And on his day, which he obviously isn't since he broke his ankle, he's super fast. But he always made loads and loads of mistakes, lots of mistakes. You could guarantee he'd be pulling away, and then within a couple of laps, you know he was going to make a bit of a mess of something, and you catch him up. Looking back, but not them long, cool look back over your shoulder, them twitchy ones that tells you that he's in trouble somehow. And he has settled down a lot, but on his day he's quick. Obviously the ankle's affecting him either mentally or physically. I don't know. I mean, physically it's obviously not right, but mentally, once you have a big smash, that can affect you. You know, he's a brave man who can ignore the fact that, you know, you've had a big smash and you can get hurt doing this. Maybe it's the first time he's hurt himself that, you know, they can look through that and keep going. Say brave man or just stupid. I think that's what I was.
I wouldn't call you stupid, James.
No, I'm very stupid. Thank you, John.
Sebastian Charpentier. That was actually christened Jack. I've never been a John. Second place, number 11, Kevin Curtin. The man who was right on the tail of James Whittam when James took the biggest crash we've ever seen coming out of Clearways at Brands Hatch a few years back. Curtin, the man with the grandstand view. And he's certainly got a grandstand view of that Tenkate Honda, but although he can match it lap for lap, inch for inch, at the moment he's not in a position to launch any kind of real assault on him. What can you do in a position like this, where you seem to be on the edge and you're riding as fast as you can, and you've got that guy right there in front of you? What can you do? I just hope that he might make a mistake, Chaz. What do you reckon?
Depends what you can make of his slipstream. If you can get right tucked in behind him and really get a good sort of slipstream off him, draft past him, then you can sort of make something of it. But it depends whether he can match the Honda or not.
I think at this stage in the race, for me, if I was sat behind somebody, you'd just be thinking, right, how many laps to go? And sometimes having somebody just in front of you is a settling thing. You think, right, I'm lying second, the guy's leading, I'm staying with him easy enough. What I need is a plan. What I need to look where he's going, what I can do different to what he's doing. And then you're trying to figure out what he's going to do. He's obviously going to defend, and you're going to have to come up with a plan to get around that for the last 2 laps. Unless you think you can pass the guy and pull away and win by 5 seconds, there's not a lot of point going past him, wearing your tyres out, showing him what you've got. You might as well just sit there thinking, right, what we're going to do. And it can be a really settling thing as a rider, especially when they're pulling away from the guys behind.
And they're certainly comfortable there because they've got 11 seconds on Foray, who's right there, number 99, in that stupendous set to with his Honda teammate Michel Fabrizio, a 20-year-old Italian.
Nobody should be allowed to be 20. Sorry, Chaz. That's not right.
What, you mean he's all right at 18?
No, that's 20. Wrong as well.
Fabrizio, number 84. He's the 20-year-old from Frascati on the Megabike Honda, whereas, of course, number 99, Fabian Foray, is a far more respectable 32 from Angoulême.
I'm sure my missus drinks a lot of Frascati wine, is that right?
It is, that's right.
White wine?
Yeah, I've often meant to ask Fabrizio whether, you know, that is actually the source of Frascati wine, where it comes from.
Apparently it's Frascati or Pinot Grigio now.
Yep. Oh, look at this.
Come on.
And Barry Veneman putting the pressure on and passing number 21, Fujiwara.
I bet he doesn't stop, though, for that. That looked to me like he was going straight on, Jack.
Well, we'll check it as they come across the line, James. They'll be with us any moment now, and we'll be able to check whether or not Veneman managed to make that pass stick. The 28-year-old from Zwolle, Barry Veneman. And I think he's still there as they go past us. Except I think I managed to miss him as they went past.
Yeah,
And I did. Veneman's there. Veneman has gone through. He's now 8th, just behind Nanelli. And actually pretty close to Nanelli. So Veneman making progress. Fabrizio, after that, after taking a few really swinging loose punches at one another, they've settled down a bit now, those two.
Yeah, and that's teammates. Mind you, as I've said before, it's most important to beat your teammate. If nobody else, you got to beat your teammate. At least the garage, you feel happy in your own garage then.
Did you used to feel that about Stiggy last year? If you beat him, you're all right.
Yes, you do.
It's always the first thing that comes to your head. If your teammate's quicker than you, then you've got to do something about it.
Because your teammate is on exactly the same bike with the same opportunities, the same tyres. You have to beat. You can make an excuse about everybody else. That they've had a better run at it, or they've had a better tyre, or a better bike, or more money spent. You can't do that with your teammate.
Yeah. I think Stiggy beat me once last year in Qatar.
Ooh, get it in.
Yeah.
Incidentally, Tom Tunstall, I'm glad to say, he and De Costa have got the better of Christoph Kogan, and so Tom is in the points. He's right there behind Julian De Costa. Tom Tunstall, number 27, in the points in 15th.
Fantastic. That's just what Tom needs. He needed a steady run, no crashes, no dramas, just have a run round and get back going again. It actually looks to me as though Curtin's actually having to try fairly hard to stay with Chaponti at this point.
Well,
we'll see.
It's fairly impressive because the Yamahas haven't been able to shade the Hondas like this all through the year. This is the first time he's really lived with them.
Yeah, it's fair to say the Hondas have... You don't want to go on the grass there.
It's going to be a fast one.
That was almost another Rumen Zaus moment. I remember Zaus on the DC Jeans Yamaha on the grass side, was on the inside of clearways once.
I mean, one thing you can rely on Curtin to do is if he is anywhere near Charpentier on the last lap, he will have a go. He's not a man who will settle for second in any way. It's just been near enough to if you're that far back that it's going to be suicidal to have a try and have a win, then you don't do it. But if you're close enough within any kind of striking distance, Curtin will have a dabble, I think.
This guy, Charpentier, has dominated every session we've had, including warm-up this morning. He's never been out of the number one slot throughout the weekend.
He never has anywhere. Every circuit we've been to, he's been number one every single.
A man you can learn to love then. And of course, he's been on pole position every time. He said we made some chassis improvements after yesterday, as if after Friday, and so he was able to go faster in spite of the windy conditions. He said he tested 2 slightly different engine setups because he says you just need a very strong mid-range here. That's the most important part of the bike.
I'll tell you what, you just got to look at Fabien Foré's lapboard there. I'm not surprised he's actually not up front. He spends half the lap trying to sort of decipher what they're trying to tell me. It's like a book. What do you need to know?
Turn the pages.
You're racing with some bloke and there's some other blokes racing with him. What?
And the bloke who's racing with you is your teammate, and he's right up the chuff.
He knows he's got a bit of a gap in front and absolutely nothing behind him. That's what he knows.
Tell you what, I'm also impressed with Chambon. Chambon's been rather off the pace this year so far. Life in the old dog. I guess you guys always have favourite people that you like to sort of have carve-ups with. Have you got a particular favourite in 250 GPs, Chaz?
Probably. It's always nice to beat factory riders. It's always good, especially I think at the minute it's Simone Corsi. He's always the target at the minute. He's on a factory bike and he's always nice to beat. It sort of lowers him down a bit when you see him strutting through the paddock.
He's doing his Italian. He's getting Italians again, isn't he?
Yeah,
that's what he's doing.
I'm not a fan.
James fondly rode for an Italian team for several years, didn't you?
I did. That's what I'm basing all my opinions on, to be honest. They are a good team.
In World Supersports, who did you particularly like having a set to with?
Muggers.
You mentioned Curtin.
Muggers.
Oh, right.
Oh, Muggers. Because our best mates with him off the bike, but you knew he were going to duff you up somehow. We're never going to be a clean move. And I kind of needed that sometimes. Once you'd had a couple of set twos with Muggers in a race, you knew you were going to have a go at anybody. You got your blood up. You went, right then, come on, if that's how you want it, that's what you're going to get.
It's a good feeling when you just have them back.
That's it, you think, right, that's it. You're going to learn something here, son.
I'm really impressed with Chambon. He's getting that he's shuddering a bit coming through the chicane then, as everybody does. But he's certainly getting that Gill Motorsport Honda sorted out a bit.
Yeah, and it's strange when somebody sort of drops off the pace a bit for more than a season or half a season through anything other than an injury or something you can put it down to. When they just go a bit slower than they always have been, you forget how quick they were. And Chambon was such a quick man in Supersport for a long time.
But you begin to think it's down to age, don't you, when he's closing in on 40, which he'll turn in August.
Yeah, I mean,
it could be just an age thing.
Everybody's got a different age at which they mature and at which they start to sort of get on the backside of the...
No, maturity doesn't come into it with Bonbon. No, have you seen him on a paddock bike? Maturity
it's
doesn't
not that,
actually
Jack. This isn't about paddock bike. It's not about mucking about on some scooter. This is about doing things that... You've got to make decisions where you're actually conscious part of your brain isn't making the decision. It's just you've got that little time to decide what you're going to do sometimes that you have almost no say in what you do. And it's at that point when the conscious side starts taking over, sometimes you think, I'm in the wrong job here. You know what I mean? It needs to be almost second nature.
Yeah.
I think, and it always was for me.
So where does that leave me with the 39 and 3/4-year-old Chambon then? That he's still doing things by second nature, or occasionally getting a little bit...
Well, no, he's dropped off. I mean, he's dropped off the pace, which makes... And he has done for a couple of seasons, which makes it... You would never put your money on him making a big comeback. Somebody at 22 who's had a bad season, you would think you'd always put your money on him maybe coming back.
Yeah.
But, what I'm saying is everybody sort of matures. Steve Hislop matured at 40-year-old and just got faster and faster and faster and was one of the quickest riders in the world on a superbike at 40-year-old. So, different people are different. Some people have had enough at 22.
Alessio Carrari there has just snooked through into 9th place ahead of Katsuaki Fujiwara. So Fujiwara, you said that he wouldn't be comfortable getting battered around here for 28 laps, James, and it's proving to be the case.
No, if he was a wrestler, he'd be banging his hand on the canvas by now. Honestly, this is a place you really don't want to be injured.
He came down actually in that left-hander where after bridge where Kageyama lost the front end.
Yep.
Only I think he did it a bit more dramatically and a bit more heavily, and so that tenderness down the left side certainly well, actually, to be honest, it could potentially cost him the championship right here and now, because he had closed the gap at Monza.
And if you
look,
he's particularly slow turning the bike from one side to another. That's upper body stuff. That's what you need to do. When you really need, it's all counter steer and actually just forcing the thing over. These bikes don't want to move so easy. Certainly not as Chaz's 250. You could get changing direction exactly how you want it. You can alter everything. These you're not. You're stuck to standard yokes, virtually standard chassis altogether. So geometry-wise, you're pretty limited to what you can do. So basically, you get it to a point, and then it's just down to you forcing it through, slow chicanes, and making it do what you want it to do. And that's the thing you need physical sort of effort for, and that's when you're injured, which is difficult.
Have you ever had a go on one of these 600s, Chas?
No, the only 4-stroke I've ridden is just my Super Motard at home.
To be fair, 250 runners tend to be able to ride most bikes, as long as you can get around the fact that they can never get the bike perfect, and at some point in the weekend they're going to have to just get their ass on the bike and nail it. 250 riders normally make good riders of anything, because they've normally got corner speed.
And that was a nice move by Laszlo Auto, the Finn, who's showing well here on the Team Claffey Honda. So he's nicked a place off Winston Tenkate's Fujiwara. So Fujiwara is slipping painfully downfield in every sense. That puts him back to 11th place. And Sébastien Legrel, the Frenchman, will be the next guy to have a go at him, I would think. Tom Tunstall's still there in 15th place.
I'd be really pleased if Tom can get a point or a couple of points. I'd be pleased for the lad.
Kevin Curtin, he's dogged, isn't he? He's just not letting Charpentier get away. He's allowing him to be dragged along.
Well,
that was 0.851.
To be fair, Jack, you never know what's going to happen. Remember the Kata round where Charpentier's tyres went so badly off that if you'd let him go and thought, well, I've got a big gap behind me, I'll just let him go. You might not be able to catch him if someone does go on. So he's the whole idea of racing, Jack, to be honest. To press on as fast as you can, I would say.
At all times.
Yeah.
Just goes to show that I was never a racer. And meanwhile, Fabian Fori's escaped, and Fabrizio is coming up under fire from a man who's well old enough to be his dad.
Why would you try and look round where Fabrizio looked round then? Why?
I don't know, because Chambon just fired underneath him straight away, didn't
That's
he?
in between two corners where you've got to be fairly committed, and you wouldn't have thought a look over your shoulder would be a prudent thing to do at that point.
Well, that was a 20-year-old manoeuvre then, was it?
I don't know. I mean, well, I wouldn't have looked round there.
No, I certainly wouldn't.
I never look round anyway because I'm always scared if I look what was behind me.
What about you, Chaz? Are you one of the lads who will not look over your shoulder?
Never. Only in qualifying, obviously, just to see
who's coming. You can get, you need to get a tag on somebody, yeah.
Exactly, but never in a race.
I'm always impressed with people like Vermeulen, for example, who's never known the identity of someone who was right on his back wheel for a long while.
The thing about Vermeulen is, though, he doesn't look back, but he actually knows exactly where the person is who's behind him at all times.
Yes.
But I don't understand that with just what we've seen on screen. I don't understand why I look round at that point.
Perhaps
maybe he has
disbelief.
He has dropped round a bit. Maybe he does have problems. And he was looking behind just to see how much room he had.
Well, the next man he's got to concern himself with, who actually isn't that far behind him, about 1.9 seconds behind him, is Brock Parks on the second of the Yamaha Germany R6s. Parks has been a disappointment. You know, it was Parks who was, throughout their dirt track racing career, it was Parks who consistently beat Vermeulen. Parks won 45 Australian championships as an oil slick dirt rider, and Vermeulen was forever runner-up to him.
Yeah, just shows you.
It is amazing.
We're not on dirt track bikes now.
We're not. We're certainly not. No.
I won a swimming badge in the Cubs once.
And you're not an Olympic swimming champion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
I'm very impressed. Do you still swim?
No.
Still a canny swimmer?
More or less bob around now.
Talking about bobbing around, look at Brock Parks. Look, he's suddenly appearing in our picture there, number 23, very much in the frame. And there's definitely a problem for Fabrizio.
Absolutely, yeah. That, you know, when somebody looks around in a real strange place, it suggests something's going wrong.
So poor Michel Fabrizio is sliding back down through the field, rather as we saw Noriyuki Haga unluckily do even later in the World Superbike race. So 21 laps out of 28 complete, and the man still consistently setting the fastest lap time, 1:29.333 for Charpentier in that lap. He's been very consistent. Curtin is still hanging in with him there underneath the 130 barrier. Everybody else in the 130s except the luckless Fabrizio, who was on a virtual 132 on that lap. And 69, Gianluca Nanelli has also come through, so too number 77, Barry Veneman, and Fabrizio is out.
Looks like his clutch. He's trying to adjust he's either adjusting the clutch, or there's sometimes it's a clutch. Clutch has gone completely, which is unusual so far into a race, to be honest. Normally you'd expect, if the clutch were going to wear out like that, you'd expect it to be off the start and never really get going in the race. Strange.
That's going to cost him important points, because fourth in the championship on 42 points. He was still very much in touch, really. So Fabrizio unluckily goes out, but he's Italian. Chaz won't be too bothered, will you, really, Chaz?
Not particularly.
Meanwhile, at the front, the lovable, ever smiling. You know, you're talking about Regis Laconi, always with a smile on his face. So too Sébastien Charpentier. And that's one face that won't be smiling underneath that helmet, I suspect.
And another face that wasn't smiling in the Superbike race we've just seen was Arga, and apparently thought he'd run out of petrol, but it would appear that there's still plenty of fuel in the tank, so they're suspecting a fuel pump problem, or wiring of the fuel pump, or fuel pump mechanical. Anyway, something wrong. Ran out of fuel, but did have fuel in the tank.
Wow. So Nori Haga unlucky in race 1 of World Superbikes, and Michel Fabrizio unlucky in World Supersports, but fortune still shining on this man, Sébastien Charpentier, looking for another possible race win. He lost out in the opening round in Qatar. He won in Australia, he won in Spain, he lost out on the last corner in Monza, but this could be his third race win of the year.
He looks pretty well in control, doesn't he?
Yeah, he has done all year, to be honest. He's just looked, although he hasn't won everything, he has looked like the class of the field, really. Every single practice session is always quick. He's always the quickest person there. It's just if something goes wrong.
Incidentally, previous winners here. We've had Chris Vermeulen, of course, in 2003 was a World Supersports race winner on his way to the World Supersports Championship. Quite often, Silverstone seems to reflect who's going to win the championship at the end of the year, and it would be difficult to dispute that, barring some real misfortune, that Charpentier wouldn't be in the win-win situation come the end of this season. Behind these guys, Foray is now fairly comfortably established in third place. Chambon is being closed down by Brock Park. Chambon's fourth, fifth, Park, sixth, and Helly.
And you can, when Curtin goes close to the edge, you can tell that he doesn't mean to be that. That's
number 100. Who's that? That's Topi Harala.
Oh, it is.
On the Arjo Motorsport Honda.
The second Finn in the race.
27-year-old Finn. And this is Barry Veneman taking the Suzuki Nederland GSXR 600 to the limit. Incidentally, it's the GSXR's 20th birthday this year. They had a presentation on Thursday here at Silverstone.
And that's Fabrizio's bike been shoved back, or either that or stolen by a couple of elderly...
Noticed how marshals have comical beards.
And comical walks.
And comical walks.
Yeah.
They're generally comical beings, really. And they, there was one when Gary McCoy stalled his bike practicing a start at the end of warm-up this morning. There was a guy with a huge cat-weasel gingery beard, and at Foggy Petronas they were a bit concerned that it would give Gary ideas about growing his own ginger beard again when he saw this fella.
No. Unhygienic.
Bits of food in there.
Yeah, but it's a bird's nest in there.
You'd better go and have a word with that man out on the track. Here's Alessio Carradi, he's in 8th place. Still wrestling on behind him in 9th is Fujiwara, who's got the better of Lausleto, the Finn, in 10th place.
Tunstall nicked another point, up to 14. Oh, that'll be because Fabrizio out, eh?
Very good.
Yes.
Good reasoning.
Yes.
There's not a lot wrong with Tom Tunstall's top speed through the speed trap.
It shouldn't be. It's last year's 10 Carter bike.
Oh, is it? Oh, right. Well, it is going to be rapid then.
They've paid good money for that. It's going back if it ain't quick.
They've paid good money for that at Hardinge Bridgesport Motorsport.
Huddersfield, lad, if you pay good money for something and it don't work, it's going back. And if they don't have it, it's going through the front window.
Fortunately, Chaz comes from like the Welsh borders. Chaz, of course, you are Welsh. You were born on the Welsh side of the border there.
Yeah, I was born in 8 miles from my home in Wales, but live in England.
Yeah.
Live 200 metres in England.
Oh dear, really?
Yeah.
Within throwing distance?
Pardon?
Within throwing distance?
Just about. I've got a good arm.
Was that a conscious decision to move into England?
No, not really. My dad's business is a go-kart circuit, so there's a plot of land and he built this go-kart circuit and just built on from there, really.
So did you kick off on 4 wheels rather than 2?
Yeah.
Right. So what got you onto 2 wheels?
Mini bikes, really. They came and used our circuit, and then I had a bad crash on a go-kart as well. And God knows why I took up motorbikes, but my dad always used to race and just that sort of thing, really.
You must have been scary on a go-kart if you thought, let's do something a bit safer. Motorbikes, that's it.
2 wheels. That is frightening, yeah.
There's actually a few lads coming through now that are actually mini-bike racers. We've got a few on our track days. Generally the smaller type guys that are actually, they do adults, British champion, and them lads are quite quick, some of them.
There's some seriously quick young mini-bike riders around at the minute.
And a lot of the foreigners, especially Italians and Spanish, have come through the mini-bike route as well.
Yeah.
We're watching number 21, Fujiwara. He's gritty, isn't he? He's not giving up on this. He's giving the former European Supersports champion Alessio Carradi someone to think of. And in fact, he's really beginning to tackle the Selmat Ducati 749 again. The Selmat Ducati, by the way, is the one that Jürgen van der Gorberg described as complete and utter rubbish and discarded a couple of races ago, and has been doing very nicely for himself in MotoGP.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the things. Van der Gorberg's come from MotoGP where he can alter everything, every aspect of the bike, and he's a real thinker, is Van der Gorberg. He knows how the bike works, he knows what he wants, and if he couldn't get what he wants, which with this bike you're never going to get, then how are you going to go and ride it to the limit? You know, the riders that have ridden bikes that don't handle even as good as these, well, then they've a chance of getting on and nailing it. But if you're looking for something you're never going to get, it's probably the wrong championship for you, I think.
Alessio Carradi and Katsuaki Fujiwara then holding off Lausleto. Do you have to ride round problems quite a bit in 250 GP, Chaz?
There is, like James says, there's loads of variables and little bits you can change here and there, a lot more than these bikes, but to a certain extent you've always got to ride around some sort of a problem if you can't get it dialed. But I expect these lot have to ride around problems that they can't fix because they haven't got the adjustability with the chassis.
Absolutely, but even Chaz is out there. If he's got a perfect bike, the tyres are going to wear out like everybody else's.
Yes,
So you're always
yeah.
going to have to ride round things.
Yeah. And where do you see yourself going on to? Have you got any ideas on that, or are you just going to see how the career unfolds?
Yeah, in a way. I'd like to have a really good shot at the 250 on something like capable of running up the front. That's the plan. I like two strokes. I like racing two strokes, and I think it teaches you quite a bit. But if not, there's Supersport, there's Superbike. I don't know. I'm just going to, like say, see how it unravels.
Because you've got James Whittam there giving a gleeful thumbs up when you said how much you like riding two strokes. And also you've grown quite tall, haven't you? How tall are you now?
I'm about 6 foot, I reckon.
Yeah.
About 6 foot.
Yeah, you certainly seem taller than me. So.
But about 4 stone.
Yes.
Suggest.
Yeah, my dad, he's a bit like my dad once told me that he according to the height and weight machine at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, he should have been either 16 stone or 4'10", and he was actually 6'2". And about 9 stone.
And 250s, to be fair, 250s are a class where weight does matter. Not so much because the bike weighs so much more than a 250 weighs. It does really matter on a 250 that you don't weigh that much. These you can get away with being a little bit heavier.
Yeah, I think it shows as well. Even with apparently Pedrosa's tyres, you can look at that and then look at Porto's tyres, and there's a big difference
in the wear.
In the wear, of
yeah,
and how they're feeling.
We're on the final lap here, fellas, and Sebastian Charpentier is going for his hat-trick of wins in 5 rounds here in World Supersports. He's, after fighting off the earlier tensions of the determined Australian veteran on the Yamaha Germany R6, Kevin Curtin, Charpentier comes through the final Brooklands right-hander into the bus stop chicane, and he is going to improve no end the day of Gerrit Tenkate and the Tenkate Winston team members. Across the line, Sebastian Charpentier takes the lead. Second place for Kevin Curtin.